episode 125 of Geeks Who Like Sports. We're a quarter of the way to 500 and eighth of the way to 1,000. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Join my best friend entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lee Elias, who has some fun little Mandalorian figures there. Lee, how are you doing today?
Ray, I built these with my son. For those of you who can't see, I have a Mandalorian Season 1 Lego head and a Grogu, otherwise known as the child back then, Lego head in his patented little egg. My son and I built these together last night. It was fun. We did a good job while watching the Eagles suck. It was a good night. And now I'm here with you, and we're doing Geeks Who Like Sports 125 live so we can thrive without our hive and get our ratings so they don't dive.
There you go. Exactly what he said. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, folks. We got some Star Wars stuff, some What If. We got some Nintendo stuff, hockey, football, baseball.
Full show tonight.
We do have a full show. You know what I finally watched over the weekend? I finally watched Venom. I watched Venom.
Now let's before you jump into it, was my description of that was it was a really great character in an okay to bad movie. Do you?
I think that's a great way of putting it. I think that is a great way of putting it. I can confirm. I might have liked it a little more than you, just because I really appreciated some of the deeper cuts from the comics. You got a She-Venom appearance.
Yeah.
You got the Life Foundation are the main bad guys, which of course that just is channeling the separation anxiety story. But I mean, I think the biggest problem of the film, and this is something that I got into an argument on my Facebook page, because of course, whenever you put an opinion out there, somebody's got to argue with you.
Yes. In order to learn, you must risk
the
being
biggest
offended.
problem. Yes, exactly. The biggest problem with this, and I think they actually circumvented it well, was that they had the issue of Venom and Eddie Brock's main motivations in the comics, or one of their main motivations is their hatred of Spider-Man.
Right.
They found a way to get around that, and I think actually make the character a lot more enjoyable for a lot of folks. Definitely made it more palatable for a wider audience. And I'll also say this, it actually, in a lot of ways, reminds me more of Venom when he bonds with Flash Thompson and later with Matt Gargan. So it's not as if it's completely out of character for the symbiote to be somewhat, I don't want to say comical, but definitely a bit more lighthearted. After
symbiote, like they did in the movie.
I said it like in the movie. Yeah, the symbiote, of course.
Symbiote.
Yeah, it's a symbiote. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've ruined all of us with that.
Symbiote.
But I actually enjoyed Venom. I think it's not the best movie in the world, but I think I could see giving it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, look,
like it was worth the $4 that I paid to rent it.
Spoiler alert again. If you haven't seen
What's
Venom,
up, Randall?
Venom,
just
Venom
popped up
1.
in chat.
Yeah, Randall Begins, a good friend of ours from the Facebook page. Glad to be here. Hope you saw our link. All right, for those of you listening, again, spoiler alert for Venom 1. Not talking Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I said it before. Great character in an okay movie. Love that Riot was in it. Love that there were other symbiotes in it. But like I said, the movie itself, like everything surrounding Venom was kind of weak, but Tom Hardy.
I mean, the villain is super one note, like it's super paint by numbers, like but like Darkstroke. We are talking about the first Venom because this is the first Venom film that we're talking about, folks, here, because again, Lee and I were very hesitant to watch it in theaters because of all the bad press it had gotten and all this other stuff, but I love Carnage. I love Maximum Carnage. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man stories.
Should be good.
So, so now I wanted to be caught up before the second film.
Right. And again, like they did pay some homage to the comics. I'll say this too, that like, again, Tom Hardy and Venom, like the Eddie Brock and Venom characters are brilliant, really funny, really perfectly done, likable in a lot of ways. In the fact that he wants to eat everybody and kill everybody. It's just really, really good. It also shows his powers, right? That like at one point Brock gets hit by a car and everything's broken and Venom puts them back together. So, it shows how powerful he is. Now, in terms of the MCU or the Spider-Verse or whatever, they'll obviously easily, explain away why Spider-Man's not there because it's another world or something like that. But I don't have a problem with him showing up like this. This is the best Venom I've seen of both of them. So Topher Grace, no offense, but that was a horrible attempt. But with Woody Harrelson in the second movie, Let There Be Carnage, I think it's going to be really good. Now, I'm still kind of wondering if we're going to see Toxin in the new movie. A little lesser known comic book character, but I could see that kind of going that direction. But we'll see. Like, again, the trailer for Let There Be Carnage is horrible. Oh, that's a red one. I'll let you eat everybody. Oh yeah. I mean, just Venom is really good.
Yeah.
Venom is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Darkstroke gave the first Venom a 7.8 to 8. He says that basically means 7.9. Darkstroke.
I'm not going that hard. I'm not going to go that high.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 7 max. All right, because I'm going to say this again.
Right.
The character was great. The movie was not. The villain was obvious. It was not great. All right, just
yes.
it's kind of like the opposite of Star Wars. We used to say about Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith, that the movie's great as long as no one's talking, and this one's kind of like great as long as Venom's talking. But nothing else. None of the action was amazing.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't fantastic. It was the first movie of setting up a new character, right? And I think that again, and Riot is a character from the comics, like they Life Foundation they pulled from the comics, and Waring, of course, is Eddie's wife and ex-wife in the comics. She becomes She-Venom at one point. They did that really well.
Well, I think that's going to happen. I think that's absolutely going to happen in the next movie. By the way, that's a prediction of mine.
Yeah, she's going to get another. I think she's going to be a big part as well, even though we haven't seen her much in the trailers. But yeah, I thought it was. I mean, and you got to imagine this movie picks up right where the first one left off. So I'm actually kind of excited for Venom too.
Yeah. Well, this is one of those classic examples where like enough time's gone by that, it's like, oh, okay. Well, now we kind of know what Marvel and Disney and Fox are doing. Now we can make some better decisions about how we want to handle this.
Yeah. So for sure. Speaking of things that probably could have been handled better, what if episode 7 came out last week? Of course, now that we're recording on Tuesdays, where basically you have a full 6 days to see every episode, so there's no spoilers there. What if episode 7 was Party Thor? Basically, what if Loki? What if Odin did not adopt Loki, but instead gave him back to the Frost Giants? And funny enough, Frost Giant Loki does show up in this episode. This was probably the most inconsequential kind of throwaway episode of What If. It was fun, don't get me wrong.
Right.
And they got almost everybody back for this to do their voices again, except for Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. But it just kind of was meh.
Yeah, I said this too. It was fun, but very stupid. I think the key to this episode is the very end, in which we see Ultron / Vision with all the Infinity Stones. And the reason why I'm saying that is I had some time to think about this. The Watcher is visibly surprised. We talked about this too. So I actually think this episode is leading into something that's going to connect, because we know that Vision Ultron is one of the stories.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a feeling the next 2 episodes are going to surround that, and that this was like the precursor to that, and probably showing us something fun, because the next 2 are not going to be too fun. Again, the Watcher was surprised. That's the thing I needed to take away from that episode.
Yes.
And that something's about to happen, but we don't know what.
Yeah. And Randall says in chat that was Marvel's comedy in full force. Yeah, it was a straight up, very lighthearted episode.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, considering it's been feeling like What If has been building to something bigger now for several episodes. That aside from the ending, as you mentioned, everything else in this episode felt very inconsequential.
Yeah, look, when Marvel does comedy, you lean on 2 people, right? It's Taika Waititi and the director of I'm blanking right now of Guardians. Well, I can't remember his name.
Oh, James Gunn.
James Gunn, who also did Suicide Squad. When I want funny, those are the guys I pick. I don't want those guys doing Infinity War. That's not their style, right?
Right.
So again, this was silly funny, but when I go to a Marvel show, I'm kind of looking to be fulfilled in a way and advance the storyline. You know what I mean by that? Like, I want to see something that's like, oh wow, I can dig deeper into this world. And you said it right. This one's so surface level, probably not going to get a rewatch. It was kind of funny, but it wasn't like I was on my belly laughing funny. You know what I mean? And here's the other thing too. I'll say this: we're really spoiled. Let's just be honest with it. I mean, the last couple of years, I've gotten Luke Skywalker back.
Yes.
I've gotten Infinity War and Endgame, and it's like, Loki was really good. They're spoiled. So we see something like that. It's like, wait, what? Why is this not serious and getting to the point? So I take it with a grain of salt. But I think that the last 5 seconds of that episode is actually why that episode was there.
No, for sure. Randall chimes in that Marvel Zombies was his favorite. It's up there for me too. I think it's middle of the pack for Lee, but it's I wouldn't say it's favorite, but it's definitely up there.
No,
for sure. I mean, again,
my favorite.
we're 7 episodes in. We're starting to rank them. We'll have a full ranking once this season is over, of course. But you mentioned Star Wars. Star Wars Visions dropped last week. We have not had the time to watch. Funny enough, this is the first time, and I think since Disney Plus relaunched, that the whole series was dropped at once for a new series.
It makes sense.
But yes. Yeah, each episode is 15 to 20 minutes. There was only one episode that was a little longer at coming in at 22. I've only watched, we've watched episodes 1 and 2. I've only watched the first one. By next week, we'll probably have hopefully consumed the entire season, considering it's only 15 minutes a pop. But the first episode, for sure, Star Wars Visions, The Duel, very Kurosawa, obviously, black and white, aside from the lightsabers and blaster bolts, which was a great touch. Which were all red, and you have a Ronin Jedi who, or you believe is a Jedi, but the big twist here is that he's using a red lightsaber. He's fighting kind of a traveling Sith who has somehow survived the end of the war. They mentioned the war, but I'm not sure which war they're talking about.
Well, it's not canon.
I'm not sure if
I mean, that's important to note. Like,
right.
None of these are canon,
yes.
So it's whatever war you want it to be, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it's because it's a wandering Sith. I'm going to say it's the Sith Jedi War. But, way old Republic, which would also fit in with the rural time period a little bit in my mind. But a great thing I loved is that the big twist here is also that the Ronin is basically collecting the kyber crystals of slain Sith that he's killed, which does make me think he is a Jedi more than not, or maybe a gray Jedi, as we've talked about before. And I one of my favorite things is characters in Star Wars, whether canon or not, that when they strike down an enemy, is they collect a part of the lightsaber or the lightsaber itself. It's why I like General Grievous a lot. I think it's a great idea for a trophy. And so the fact that he has the inside of his robe lined with red kyber crystals, I think was a really nice touch there at the end. I thought the first episode was great. So
yeah, it was really strong. Look, I've said this 1,000 times. Star Wars is always better when it's dark, and that was a little bit of a darker story, which I really appreciated. I actually think he was a Sith, or he was leaning that way. He clearly says, "I am not a Jedi." And again, for those you haven't seen it, this isn't like the end of the world if you haven't seen it. But I really enjoyed that. Look, there's a misconception because of the films. It's kind of weird to say that, but that Sith are just horribly bad people all the time, and that's actually just not accurate, right? Like, they do instill fear, but fear can be instilled in many ways, and you can see the people of the town were actually quite fearful of him, right? So like it kind of just challenges the Sith have to kill everybody. The truth to Sithdom, I just made that up. The truth to being a Sith is hatred flows through you. All right. And yes, you can create like hatred through fear. But like one of the things that makes Vader such a great character, and I'll give a deep cut here. I can do that on the show, is that Vader's driven by massive hatred for himself. And there is no greater hatred than that when you really think about it. And like there was a great comic book, and it's not canon anymore, where Darth Maul is resurrected by the Emperor, and the Emperor sends Vader to go fight him on another planet. It might have been Mustafar, but I can't remember. The point is, he goes to fight him, and Maul's pissed because he's been abandoned, and he wants to become the apprentice to the Emperor again. And Maul's beating the crap out of Vader in this comic book. He's really beating him. And then Vader just kind of storms back and long story short, kills Maul. Right? He stabs him through the chest. And Maul, there's this great speech of just like he's taunting the whole time. He's like, "There's nothing you hate more than I." And Maul goes, "I hate this. I hate that I was abandoned. I hate my family. I hate this." And Vader stabs him, and Maul goes like, "This, how could this be? Like, what could you possibly hate more than me?" Right? And Vader pulls him on the lightsaber, goes, "Myself," and then just like, and I was like, this is one of the best comic books I have ever read in my life. But that's why Vader was such a great character, right? It's not just about creating fear. It's about hatred. So we don't know anything about the Ronin. I will note this, Ray, because I'm talking a lot. We knew very little about Vader in the first movie. Yeah. Like, people forget that we know everything about Anakin Skywalker now. Okay. But when those movies came out, we knew almost nothing. And that was great. I will finish with this. The greatest probably villain in history, if not Vader, is the Joker. because you know nothing about his motive. You do not know why he's crazy.
Yeah.
You do not know why he's relentless. You do not know where he got his skills.
Yeah.
You know nothing. He's crazy. He's dangerous, and he has no problem doing what he does. That's why he's the best villain ever, right? And there was a time that,
and even when he tells you, it's the unreliable narrator. Even when he tells you, like you can't believe it,
right? And I'm really looking forward to Injustice because that actually explores that storyline a little bit too. That comic book film that's coming out with
the new animated, the new animated film based on the comic, which is based on the video game.
That story is awesome. But just getting back to Star Wars again, there's no rule that says Sith have to create fear through killing everyone they see. All right, a Ronin warrior is a scary thing. All right. And that's what I thought was really great about it. So that was just episode 1. Episode 2, without going into it, it's kind of silly. It's not dumb. It's just very Cartoon Network-y. I'll put it that way. And I'm going to watch the rest of them, but they're not canon. I mean, you know that right off the bat. And the name makes sense. They're visions within Star Wars. Right. Ray, I think you'll hate the second one. I've been told
they're the visions of different animators.
Right. I've been told that the 4th one is the best, but I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, hey, look, Star Wars is Star Wars. Star Wars season is upon us. Again, I have Little Mandalorian here, Legoland Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett trailer apparently coming out in mid-November. And people are like, it's coming out mid-November. I'm like, that's like 2 months from now. Stop.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, that's the thing. We're about 3 months away now from the first episode of Book of Boba Fett dropping. So it's upon us. We got a lot of stuff happening in the Star Wars universe, of course. Again, Star Wars Visions is just kicking things off. We talked about it. We'll get into the video games a little bit later, but of course, actually, we have something to talk about with Star Wars later in video games. But before we get there, speaking of television and streaming services, I did want to touch upon Netflix. Had their event this past weekend where they had, of course, revealed a lot of teasers and trailers, we saw Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is dropping December 31st. So this way, when everybody is hungover on January 1st, you can binge season 4 of Cobra Kai. Of course, a lot of true crime stuff and other things that they've got coming on the way. And of course, the big thing that, of course, has divided the internet is the new Cowboy Bebop live action trailer, which is basically just the intro.
How's that divided the internet?
There's a lot of folks out. I've been seeing a lot of hate for this.
Why?
I've been seeing a lot of love and a lot of hate. And
I don't have any hate for that. That looks awesome. The only thing I don't know is where's Ed? Ed from the right. Nobody knows where Ed is. He's one of the characters. Yeah, we got the corgi go.
Yeah, I mean, I think look, I'm not. I for a variety of reasons never got into Cowboy Bebop, but I am happy that they are doing this because it seems like the most hardcore of the hardcore seem happy with it. Yeah. So I mean, I think that seems like a good thing. I mean, anime's never been my forte. I never got into a whole ton of anime aside from the early Dragon Ball Z years, and after that I fell off. So
you will like this show, Ray. Cowboy Bebop just never was on the beaten path of normal anime. I think that's one of the reasons I loved it so much. When I think anime, I think Gundam, I think Sailor Moon, I think all these and Cowboy Bebop was nothing like that. It was just really it's a space western. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
In fact, every episode ends as you see Space Cowboy. So I can't wait for this. I love that show growing up. Again, I think you're going to like it a lot too.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, of course, as you all know, I don't watch a lot of television. Grandall just mentioned Titans and Doom Patrol just had new seasons released. I loved the first season of Doom Patrol, but I just have not had the time or the motive, the drive to watch. I don't watch a lot of episodic television anymore. It's just the truth, folks. I watch movies. I play a lot of video games, and it's that people are like, "Why don't you watch more television?" I'm like, "Well, because I just beat my 52nd video game of the year. I really rather do that than watch episodic television. That's just me. That's me personally. So, I mean, I hope I find the time, of course, because of work. I will be watching Cobra Kai, definitely. But obviously, I would love to have more. I wish there were 36 hours in a day, and this way I could split my time more evenly between TV and video games, but unfortunately there isn't. So,
well, I'll tell you this. Let's go to the Cobra Kai trailer real quick. I wasn't overly impressed with that trailer. Considering seasons past, that doesn't mean the season's going to be bad in any way. Sometimes a bad trailer actually means the season's going to be good because they don't want to give anything away. But I wasn't really. I mean,
Yeah.
it looked like a Three Stooges trailer. Like, oh, the bad boys of karate are at it again. And it was just like, and at the end, it's like, and Terry
Yeah.
Silver's back. I'm like, we knew this already. Like, give me something more concrete.
We knew that was coming. We knew that was
Yeah.
coming. And it does feel like it's going to be a slow burn and a slow build up to the tournament in this one, which does worry me. And now the rumors is that even though it's been picked up for season 5, is that actually season 5 will be the last season, which makes a lot of sense because what else? You've done the tournament twice. You're going to be doing the tournament twice now in 4 seasons. There's only so much you can do. They're going to run out of ideas at some point. But honestly, look, you get 5 seasons of television nowadays. That's a win. They had a lot of Emmy nods, which is good for all of them. And we'll see what happens. Randall mentioned
I'm going to say it again. If they really want to wow me, which they've done multiple times, they want to continue to wow me. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion. Bring back Hilary Swank, connect the next Karate Kid to the Karate Kid. She is an Oscar-winning actress. All right, that would actually be. I wouldn't.
Well, that could be season 5.
Right. Or maybe she's the mother of one of the people. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can look at this, right? But this is season 4, right?
This is season 4.
Right. So Terry Silver comes back.
Yeah.
Season 5 should be Hilary Swank coming back. And
and that'll probably it.
It's like Miyagi's lost daughter and son finding each other. And, that's how I would end it. And like you said, they already brought back, what's her name from the first film. That happened already. And Elizabeth Shue's character. Right. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. But look, I wasn't impressed with the trailer, but I don't think that's going to be representative of the show itself.
Yeah, we will see. We will see, of course, December 31st. Randall says there's talks of a spinoff of Cobra Kai. What would they spin off?
Kids.
Kids. Just through the kid. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but
look,
for me,
I will
say this. I'm sure there's. I was just about to say there's a huge audience of youngsters. This is their first introduction to the series.
Right.
I would not be as interested in the children, but there are probably teenagers out there who love to rag on Kyler and of course follow Tori and Robbie and all of them, Miguel, and of course, and I'm not as. I don't really care about Steve. I think Stingray is done, Randall. Again, folks, I have to preface this. I have no inside information. Even though I work on the video game, I have no idea. Or one of the video games, I have no idea what's happening in season 4.
I will say
I will be watching it alongside with you for the first time on December 31st. But I think Stingray's done.
I'll make a wild prediction right now that season 4 ends with Hilary Swank as the surprise ending, that she shows up. Right? She hasn't been doing anything cinematically anyway for a while. So I could see that. And
that's true.
That would be, or that Miyagi has some kid that we didn't know about, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
he'll do something, and at that point, they'll officially jump the shark,
right?
And then that'll be it. That'll be the end of Cobra Kai. So
yes, but they're smart to end it when they're ending it. To be honest with you, you can drag things on if you know.
Yeah. So speaking of and knowing when to end things, it's actually interesting. We're going to go into video games now. Before we get into the big Nintendo Direct, because it was a big Nintendo Direct. Something dropped today that I want to mention that actually goes back to Marvel. Basically, Xbox is doing more to save Marvel Avengers than Square Enix is. It is announced that next week, Marvel Avengers will be joining Game Pass. It'll be free to Game Pass subscribers. So if you have not checked out what was a mediocre video game from last year, but you love the Avengers, now's the perfect time to check it out if you're an Xbox Game Pass owner, because you will get it for free. It's being added next week. That is a big addition there as Xbox continues to add value to their subscription service. And also, speaking of video games, for those of you who are watching the video here, we mentioned it in our pre-show on Twitch, but we're mentioning it here now also for the podcast listeners, or if you happen to watch the podcast on YouTube or on Facebook. The reason why there's an ostrich growing out of my head is that I'm slowly repopulating these walls here with posters and things and framing things. And this is a particularly favorite piece of mine. Something that I won in a tournament 8 years ago, a rare non-cash prize in a game tournament. It was a smaller tournament here in LA, but it was for the classic video game Joust. Yours truly got the high score. He got this one-of-a-kind poster here, which of course is basically kind of like an army recruitment poster, but the idea is it's a knight riding an ostrich, and it's say take to the skies, join today. I thought it was a very fun poster, and so that is my first geek poster that I am adding back to this corner here as I repopulate it with my stuff and redecorate. And also it's a chance for me to humble brag that I kicked the crap out of a couple of dozen other nerds.
Right. That was not humble at all.
So a straight up brag, basically.
That's not a humble brag, what you just did. I just want you to know that.
Okay, cool. So I definitely just wanted to brag that. But the big thing, who can brag after this week is Nintendo, because they came out, shots fired. They are basically like, Xbox has Game Pass, Sony's got nothing, basically.
Yeah.
We are going to double down on what makes us great. And what makes Nintendo great, of course, is their backlog and their library and their characters. So for a slight increase in their Nintendo Online subscription service, they haven't announced yet, but I'm going to say this. The Nintendo Online is $20 a year right now, which is not a lot, considering Xbox Live used to be $60 a year. And basically, they're saying for a little more money, they're going to add a Sega Genesis library and an N64 library, including Mario 64, Star Fox 64, and Ocarina of Time right off the bat by the end of the year. To me, whether it's $10 more, $20 more, I think it's worth it. They're calling it their expansion pack. I think it's this way. If you don't want the newer stuff, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't want the N64 and Sega stuff, you can stay at the $20 base level, or you can bump up. They haven't announced the price point yet, but this was huge. They came out almost right out of the gate with that. That was a massive. I mean, we got other stuff to talk about from this, but to me, this was the announcement of the show, and it is a huge deal for Nintendo to be adding this. Lee, what are your thoughts?
I think it's brilliant. I think Nintendo needed to answer Game Pass, and they did it in the best way possible. Number one, saying that, look, our library of games is very exclusive and only we have the rights to do it. That's the number one thing they did. Number two, they understand the buying age, that people, you and I, our age group is the prime buying years. Believe it or not, Nintendo NES and Super NES are not anymore. They're just getting past that. We grew up on NES and Super NES, but we really grew up on N64, Sega, and PlayStation 1. So the fact that they're coming in now with that, and I've been begging, if you listen to the show, for Ocarina of Time for a long time. All right. You're going to bring these games back. I could experience them with my children, and it's on Game Pass for free, quote unquote. Yeah. Brilliant move. It's just the first wave.
With the Nintendo Online subscription.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The Nintendo Online, which is Game Pass for Nintendo. The big deal is that, and we'll keep coming back to it, but man, does that punch Sony in the face. And Ray, you're going to talk about it. They did something else that completely punches Sony in the face with another game that they announced, or that's going to be available. But I love that they did this. It shows the power of Nintendo and the brand. And it also reminds everybody that, like, look, we don't need to always be changing everything. We have the greatest library in the history of games, and they do. Yeah, they do. There's not, Microsoft and Sony do not have a better game library than Nintendo. They don't.
No, it's true.
So they're banking on that. I cannot wait. I'm going to be getting that day one. All right. Yeah. And I'm excited for the Sega stuff too. I'm only thinking about the 64. The Sega stuff looks great too.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sega stuff there, from Strider to Sonic 2. Randall mentions GoldenEye in chat. GoldenEye was not announced as part of that first wave, but I'd be shocked if it doesn't come at a later date, because Nintendo did announce that there's going to be Pokemon Snap coming at a later date, other games, and of course the N64 library. This was just the start. Exactly. This is just the start. For sure. Randall also mentions a particular film. We will get into that as well. But before we get into the film, a lot of other video game announcements. Lee mentioned one or hinted at one. Again, speaking of Star Wars season, Nintendo basically said, look, we know that Sony's probably coming with a remastered Knights of the Old Republic next year. You want the old one? You want it right now? November. Bang. Right here on the Switch. Knights of the Old Republic. Here it is. $20. Here you go, folks. Enjoy.
Look, make no mistake. That was a complete FU to Sony of like, you don't need to remake this game. We're just going to give it to you. So I just, again, Sony's taking a beating, man. They are taking a massive beating right now, and they're not answering the bell. And like, dude, that's a gutsy move by Nintendo when you know a competitor is going to do that. It spent a lot of money. Also, maybe Sony shouldn't have announced that, like when they did. Maybe because when is that even coming out? Right? Like
at the earliest, we think late next holiday.
Right. maybe they
So,
shouldn't have announced that, Ray. Maybe they shouldn't have told everybody what they're going to do. Like, you know what I mean? So, anyway, Nintendo, doing what Nintendo does, right? Coming out of nowhere with something nobody expected and wowing everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that wasn't it either for them. They have a 3-pack of Castlevania games from the Game Boy Advance now on the Switch called the Castlevania Advance Collection. Folks, if you didn't play these games the first time around and you love Castlevania, these are must plays in my opinion.
Right.
They also announced a remake of ActRaiser, which was a Super Nintendo classic, one of the first God games mixed with action platforming. I'm playing it right now and I'm amazed that this game is 30 years old. And even though it's got a new coat of paint, the fact that this game came out, I think, in 1990 or 1991, this game was ahead of its time. And I'm shocked that it makes me think that they're going to have something with this series again, because I'm shocked at how good this game is for a 30-year-old game. And then, of course, they announced a bunch of new stuff. A new game from Square Enix. I think it's Square Enix. Don't quote me on that, actually. Voice of Cards, the Isle Dragon, which kind of actually reminds me of Fire Emblem in a lot of ways. And then a new Kirby game called Kirby and the Forgotten Lands coming out early next year. Splatoon 3 coming out next year. And then the big one that people have been waiting for forever since they announced it a couple of years ago. And again, this is a credit to Nintendo saving franchises that nobody else wants, but has basically reinvigorated it. Bayonetta 3. Nintendo came out with 3 exclusives or 4 exclusives there at the end of the show. That was just basically being like, we don't even need Mario. And bam, 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 like that broke the internet. Bayonetta 3 looks amazing. It's something that people have been claiming for a while. Oh, and they got Metroid Dread coming out still in 2 weeks. Reminder of that, by the way. New Metroid side scroller, the long-awaited side-scrolling sequel to Metroid Fusion and all that. So, So Nintendo is positioned itself in a very, very good position. And it is. Honestly, again, folks, I said, if I wasn't working in the industry, I'd have 2 systems right now, a Switch and an Xbox. I mean, it's honest truth. So Nintendo, again, Lee, any thoughts on some of these Nintendo gaming exclusives before we get into their big film announcement?
I've always respected Nintendo's ability to stay calm and collected in times like this and to try new things and understand that this is a long game or an infinite game and not what's happening. That's how they've always been able to separate themselves from Microsoft and Sony. It's how they've always built the best. Let's be honest. If you're going to do the top 10 games of all time, they hold 7 of them, 6 to 7 of them.
Yeah, they've got.
I mean,
I was going to say 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that tells you what you need to know. I'm trying to think of a metaphor, but it's tough to think of one. I mean, they're the Apple, I guess, which is, weird, but they're really the Apple of the video game world right now in terms of they go at their own beat. They challenge the status quo. They understand their history. They understand their culture. They understand their mission, right? There's been times that both Microsoft and Sony have lost that. So yeah. I just really admire them. And look, it's a cultural thing too. I mean, they're not made in America. So yeah. It's just, I respect it. I just have always respected the way they do things, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Like there is no gaming world without Nintendo. Yeah.
No, it's true. Well, I mean, and again, I think this is kind of why you mentioned it. Like Sony loses itself because Sony's not just a games company. Nintendo right. Makes games. That's what their focus is. Microsoft, if Nintendo's Apple, then Microsoft is definitely PC, obviously. And although they've misfired here or there, reminds me of Windows. I can't remember which Windows it was. Not 95, not 98. You guys know what I'm talking about. Not XP? Every window. Yeah, like XP or something. Not every Windows is a hit either. But Xbox for the most part knows what they're doing, knows where their bread and butter is, and it's kind of, especially in the past, I would say 10 years, refound their focus after a slow start to the Xbox One generation. And Sony is, when Sony hits, they hit hard, they hit big. But for some reason, they get real cocky real quick, and then it Windows Vista. That's the one I was thinking of. Randall, we're on the same page with that one. Yeah. Windows Vista, not a good one. But yeah, Sony. I hope they find their way. I do. But again, we talked about it I think it was last week or the week before. when all your big releases are coming out, are at least a year, if not a year and a half away, I mean, multiple years away, that's not a good sign typically. So we'll see what happens as things go on. But of course, another big thing for Nintendo that's going to help them out is not only, for those of you know, they're of course in the Universal Studios in Japan, and now shortly here, I believe in LA, opening up Mario lands in the Universal Studios. Part of that is because Universal now, from the studio that brought us, Despicable Me and whatnot, is making a Mario movie. It's an animated Mario movie. The cast was somewhat divisive through folks. Big winners, in my opinion, of course, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, Jack Black as Bowser. That right off the bat, folks, this is going to be a more of an irreverent kind of Wreck-It Ralph kind of comedy than like a Mario Brothers, origin story kind of thing. Charlie Day as Luigi, and of course, the thing that got people a little bit irritated was, of course, Chris Pratt is playing Mario. You got to wait and see. It, to me, at the surface, it seems like a questionable voice casting for sure, but I think you need to take a wait and see approach with it. Fred Armisen, by the way, also Cranky Kong, so there should be some fun crossovers there with Donkey Kong, of course, who of course was his original nemesis. But Randall mentioned it. I think Charlie Day as Luigi is spot on. I think most of this cast is going to be super fun. Anna Taylor-Day, by the way, is Peach. I have no idea who that is, but I'm sure she'll do fine. But yeah, Chris Pratt, that is the questionable one as Mario. So what's going to happen? I don't know. We'll see. But they gave it next holiday, I think December 21st or December 22nd, right before the holiday next year. So we're a little over a year away from a new Super Mario Brothers film. And I'm looking forward to it. Lee, what are your thoughts on the Mario movie and their announced castings? They didn't show any footage, by the way, just headshots.
I think people need to take a step back and really think. Do you think you're going to be able to sit in a theater for 90 to 120 minutes with a guy, it's me, Mario, Luigi, okay. There's no way you're going to make it through a 2-hour movie with a guy doing that. Okay. Look to Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what you need to be looking at.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't what we expected. It was awesome, though. I fully expect this to be the same way. I think of the Lego movie. I think it's going to be something very out of left field that you're not expecting. I think it's going to be great. It's a great cast. They're probably not signing on to a movie that big if it's not well written or it's something funny, right? But people are like, oh, you can't do Mario without that Italian voice. Like, first off, that just is weird. Second of all, it's like, guys, we don't know what the movie is going to be about. But like, Seth Rogen can't play that's Donkey Kong. Give me a break.
I was gonna say, right. I think most of these characters, again, Pratt's the only one that I'm a little questionable about, but I want to hear a trailer. I want to see a trailer before I make judgment.
The last Mario Brothers movie we got wasn't Oscar worthy.
Yeah, let's not talk. We don't talk about that Mario.
Even though they just had a whatever extended edition come out. Guys, it's amazing to me how often we just don't learn. Like, it's like, just wait and see. Chris Pratt's a great actor. You love Star-Lord. Everybody loves Chris Pratt. And all of a sudden, I can't be Mario. I'm going to say this one more time. I'm never going to do it again. There's just no way. Oh, no, a beach. What do we got on the door? We got to get out there. It's not going to work. All right. So we're missing something. Yes, I don't know the connection point between the two characters, Mario with Chris Pratt, but they're going to do something good. That's my thoughts.
No, I think it's going to be interesting to see. Again, I want to wait and see what the trailer is. I want to see how he does, if he does any kind of an accent. Or
is this going to not? Do we know if there's going to be no live action in this? That's another question. Is it fully animated?
I believe it's fully animated. Okay. I believe it is like everything is like Despicable Me. So I think you gotta wait and see. I can
already tell you it's gonna be like Wreck-It Ralph. Like Mario's gonna come in the beginning, like everybody thinks that I sound like this, but I actually sound like this. And you're like, I don't like it. And then the movie's gonna be awesome. We're like, all right, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. I mean, again, we gotta wait and see. I'm reserving judgment. For sure.
Let's put it to the test. Let's do a full episode.
It makes me miss Captain Lou Albano. I'll say that much. I miss Captain Lou Albano.
Let's do a full episode as Mario and Luigi.
No.
We'll see if our audience can take it, and then all the haters can listen to that. And
I don't know, Wario and Waluigi. Yeah. Wow, Mario, Mario. No, get me my golden coins. Wow.
And we learned nothing. Do the Mario. Take your arms from side to side. Come on,
saying,
it's
bring me
okay.
back. I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame. Rest in peace, Captain Lou. One of the greatest wrestling personalities of all time.
Yeah.
And but for this and for Mario, he shaved his goatee, his signature goatee, and turned into a mustache where he had the rubber bands in it. So that's how much it meant to him. It was a big deal. I just have that all on DVD still, actually, all the Mario.
Yeah, they were great. The jokes were horrible. Yeah. It was awesome. A lot of famous cameos in that show too.
People a lot of famous cameos. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, again, it's one of those things where I still have, like I said, I have them on DVD. For as a kid growing up, they were the best. But that does it for our video game section here. As we move on now into sports. We move into sports now. That's the geek section as a whole.
That was it.
That was it. That was it for geeks. Wow. Still a solid section, about 40, 45 minutes or so, I think.
Oh, very good, Ray. Let's move on to sports.
Yeah, moving on to sports now. We've got
There's no way that would work, you idiots.
And funny enough, actually, real quick, Randall brings up a really good question in chat. He says maybe we can get a Mario and crossover film. What about a Smash Brothers film at some point?
Oh God, how great would that be? Maybe that's what this is gonna be. Maybe that's what this is gonna be.
I mean, you're already establishing Donkey Kong and Peach. And
maybe that's what this is going to be.
Mario and Luigi. There we go. Who knows? And then you have
crazy
the Master
son of a bee. You did it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. That would be amazing.
I just read something online.
What else is amazing?
Before we leave Geeks. Sorry. Before we leave Geeks. I just read something online. Going all the way back to What If Episode 7. I just read this interesting theory, Ray, that we should discuss for a moment.
Yeah.
What if the appearance of Ultron Vision, is actually leading towards the Guardians of the Multiverse? They have established Thor. I mean, Captain America, kind of, right? And then Captain Carter.
Peggy Carter, yeah.
You have T'Challa as Star-Lord. I mean, you've got them there. You could do that.
They could do it.
Right, and that's how they end the show. Yeah. That wouldn't be so crazy. That now, Party Thor with all those other people would make sense.
Yes,
it'd be funny if they pulled Spider-Man and everybody out of the zombie verse right before they got eaten.
That's also possible.
This is also the last
one. Spidey with Doctor Strange's cloak of levitation.
Right. See. So, Strange Supreme or Strange Superior, whatever his name was. You could do it. You could do it if you wanted to. That would be a cool idea. I wouldn't mind that.
Sure. Randall mentioning also, how about the full cast of Always Sunny in Philadelphia showing up in Smash Brothers? Well, so Danny DeVito's got to be Wario then, right? That's a 1-to-1, right? Like, I mean, I guess would not Rob McElhenney, the other guy, I can't think of his name right now, not Charlie Day, obviously, the other guy.
Oh yeah, I don't even know his name.
He would be Link. Right. I don't know who Rob McElhenney would be. But and then there's
his wife.
And then there's the girl. Obviously, Peach has already been cast, but then maybe she comes in as Daisy.
Samus.
Oh, Samus. Oh, there you go. She's better at Samus for sure. That's a good one. Yeah, I think Samus works. Yeah, I don't know. That's a fun one though, Randall. That's a good one. I like that. Extra question of the week, folks. Think about that. Always Sunny in Philadelphia cast. Who'd you cast them in Smash Brothers? Danny DeVito's got to be Wario. Like, to me, that's it. Like, but yeah. So there we go. So moving on now into sports. Kirby? I don't think he's Kirby. Randall says thinks Rob can be Kirby. I don't think he's Kirby. We'll think about it. Maybe we'll come back to it. Let us know. Comment below. If you're watching this after the fact or you're listening after the fact. Let's see. Moving on to sports now. Actually, Rob is actually a huge Philadelphia fan. He's a big Philadelphia sports fan. That is true. And it looks like the Flyers are going to have themselves a good year this year. It's moving to hockey. But that's not the only hockey story going on. Of course, we made our predictions. We've made some predictions last week. But one of the bigger hockey stories, of course, is the Kraken played. The preseason's underway. The Kraken played their first ever game, not at their official Key Arena or I guess what are they calling it? Zero Emission Arena or whatever they're calling it now.
Climate Change Arena.
Climate change arena. There you
Climate
go.
pledge. Climate pledge.
Climate pledge. There you go.
Whatever.
So we'll figure. There we go. We'll put it together. Yeah. Yeah. They'll. Yeah. That arena. I think is going to be ready for the beginning of this regular season. Is that truly? I'm not 100% positive.
They're on the road. They're on the road to start the season, so they got a couple weeks, I think, on the road before they get back.
So there you go. So when they come back,
they're out
Seattle,
east here. They're going to be playing the whole Metropolitan Division before.
Oh, there you go. So Randall wants to talk baseball, but Randall, we will get to baseball. Trust me, towards the end of the segment. But we're starting off with hockey. Kraken. So Kraken, they won their first game. It was a preseason game. Of course, it doesn't matter. Doesn't count, but for them it matters. It counts. I hear the Seattle crowd was absolutely very lively at the Spokane Memorial Arena or whatever it was, the temporary home for the Kraken. And yeah, hockey in Seattle is official. It is here. It's underway. Lee, we were both very excited. Last time we were in Seattle, everybody seemed to be very excited for the Kraken. I think this is going to be a good thing for hockey, even if the team isn't going to be particularly great. I think in these first couple of years.
I'd love to get back out to Seattle to see a game. Look, yeah, it's a great day, but as Gritty says, welcome to preseason where we make up the rules and the points don't matter. So
yeah,
again, anyone out there, the same thing for football and anything else. If you're using preseason as a way to see where your team's going to rank, that is not what preseason is for. It is for the coaches to see players and to work on lineups and try systems and to lose and to win. I have seen and been in preseason games where a team is winning and they purposely go shorthanded the last 4 minutes of the game just because they haven't had a chance to work on their special teams. So preseason, again, does not matter in terms of the score. It's always nice to win. Don't get me wrong. But if you really know what you're doing, you're not looking at that. You're looking at matchups. You're looking at, chemistry, things like that. But
for sure. Awesome. This was more just to celebrate the fact that hockey's in Seattle.
It was great to see the Kraken on the ice. It was kind of weird to see their jerseys. Always a little awkward to see a new team, right? Like a new jerseys. But look, they played Edmonton tonight and got killed. So there you go. Yeah, they lost 3-0 Edmonton.
So
today.
For sure.
What happens?
Yeah, it's preseason. It doesn't matter exactly. And as Randall says, I think his Lightning is automatically going to win again. That they're going to win 3 in a row. I don't think the Lightning are going to win 3 in a row. Randall, they could. That team's mostly kept together, but with all the cap issues and rules and things of that nature, it'll be interesting to see if they can.
Randall, I'll say
again,
this.
We've talked about it many times here.
There are a lot of teams that could win the cup this year. They're one of them for sure.
Yes.
But
Tampa Bay, they're still a contender. Don't get me wrong. Their championship window is not closed.
Let me tell you this,
but
man, the Avalanche are going
to automatically crown them champion now, I think would be foolish. So,
the Kraken are not going to be there in my opinion. But I'll tell you right now that the Avalanche are looking. The Islanders are very much looking. There's a lot of good hockey teams right now. That Vegas. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could win that cup. And I'll be honest with you. I expect Tampa to be completely exhausted this year after winning 2 COVID cups in a row, 2 of the hardest cups to ever win. They have not been able to make the moves, and everyone's a year older. So they're going to be good, but I could see them getting bounced first round this year. Be honest with you.
Sure. And Randall mentioning he's looking forward to that cafe skit, of course, referencing Elimination Cafe. If you folks can also join that Facebook group if you're not part of it, where Lee and Travis and Caitlin do fantastic sketches in the playoffs every year. Yours truly made a cameo this year. Hey, but definitely go check those out and look forward to next year for those as well. But also in hockey, and this is an interesting thing, and Lee, I'm going to let you kind of carry as Mr. Hockey. I'll let you kind of carry this one, but Barstool Sports is doing their own hockey tournament. What's going on with this? And I think it's interesting that Barstool is now starting to sponsor their own events, kind of thing.
I got to tell the whole story behind this now, don't I? So we talked about it on the show.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Back in the playoffs.
Yes, we did talk about it. Yeah.
Yes, the NWHL held their playoffs or the whole season really this year. It was a tournament at Lake Placid, and it was a disaster. It was a complete disaster. I don't even think they finished it. If they did, it was after the fact, but one team had to pull out because of COVID. Another team pulled out because they weren't getting along. It was really unfortunate, not just for women's hockey, but hockey in general, because this was supposed to be a really great tournament to help put the NWHL on the map. For those of you who don't know, women's hockey is a little bit fragmented right now. There are multiple leagues. Change is good, but it's kind of a painful point right now in terms of like, there's no unification. And in the middle of this tournament, without getting too into the politics of this, because it's really not the point, I'll say an NWHA player called out Barstool because the CEO of Barstool, who is a woman, shouted support for the NWHL. She supported the NWHL. And a player on one of the teams spoke out against Barstool as being a misogynistic, horrible, racist organization, which my stance is I did not agree with her calling them out that way. Not what she said, but how she said it. There was a conversation that could have happened there where both sides could have won. Yeah. And let me tell you something.
Because Barstool has made mistakes in the past, which they've apologized for and tried to,
Well, here's the thing. They have created one of the most powerful female CEOs in the country and in all of sports. So they have grown. Yeah. They have been willing to change no matter what anybody thinks about them. And they are one of the top sports places in the world now, whether you want to believe that or not. So again, regardless of her thoughts,
I watch my AEW pay-per-views through Barstool.
There you go. Look, this is my point. It's on the map here now. It's not some small blog anymore. So what happened was, and this is a mistake, this woman calling out the CEO of Barstool got Dave Portnoy's attention. El Presidente. That is not somebody you want pissed at you. He is relentless, and he is loyal, and he will back his people. So he basically came out. Called out the NWHL, which is not good for the NWHL, basically said, we'll make our own league. And that was kind of the last I heard of it. The NWHL shut down for the year, and we kind of left with this Barstool thing, like, we'll make our own league, which I couldn't tell if he was joking or not. Flash forward 6 months, right?
He wasn't joking.
Wasn't joking. Barstool is announcing what looks to be one of the most powerful female empowerment movements of all time in a women's hockey tournament powered by Barstool. That will get more coverage than women's hockey has ever gotten. It might get more coverage than normal hockey, which it probably will, thus putting, I hate calling it women's hockey, but women's hockey on the map. All right. I mean, look, in a weird way, this might be good for the sport. Things happen like this. This is the chaos that is a sport that's up and coming. But I'll be honest with you. My thought process of this, I'm excited about it. It looks like it's been done the right way. The CEO of Barstool is the person running it. She is a huge hockey fan. I expect this to be very, very, very good for the sport of hockey. I'm not just talking women's hockey now. Good for the sport of hockey. All right. And the thing is, people are going to come out and start calling out Barstool. And I can already see Dave as like, I didn't make this. Our CEO made this. So if you're saying this, you're hating on our CEO. It's going to cause a massive ruckus. And they know exactly how to use that attention. And what's going to happen? It's going to create hockey fans. So, Barstool has done it again. And I'm going to say this again. Barstool has a very, very tumultuous past. Okay. But they've moved past that and they're moving towards the future. And their job is to conquer anybody in their way. So the NWHL is, Ray, I don't know if you know this, they've changed their name for this season. They're not the NWHL anymore. Right. So like they've completely go through a full rebrand. Our producer, Caitlin, will put in the chat what the name of the league is now in a minute, because I can't remember. I think it's PHL or something like that. But they've gone for a full rebrand. Barstool's coming out with this tournament. I expect this to be a really big deal for hockey, and I think it's going to get a lot of press. So that's what's happening. Barstool's supporting hockey.
So too. I mean, I was going to say the fact that Barstool is doing it themselves. I mean, it's going to. They are one of the biggest press brands now. Barstool's everywhere. I mean, of course, I don't know what they're going to name their league. I'm sure it's not the BSHL, but
no, it's just it's a hockey tournament. There's no name for it. Yeah. Look, this tournament. Make no mistake, this isn't a one-time thing. This tournament is to see if they can make a league. That's what they're doing. They're testing it out. And here's the thing, man. There is a gap for that. We had the chat last week about equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. Right? This is equality of opportunity. They're creating something here for women to shine in the sport, and it's good for the game of hockey. So I'm all about it. And I'm looking forward to see what happens. I will be watching. You can bet your bottom dollar that.
Yeah. And Caitlin puts in the chat, the NWHL is now called the Premier Hockey Foundation. So the PHF.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And good. Look, here's the deal. Like, there doesn't need to be women in the name, right? Like hockey is hockey. And like I said, I'm not going to argue whether it's more people want to watch the NHL or a women's league. Like the answer is the NHL, but that doesn't. I love hockey. I'll watch any hockey. So I have a daughter. I want her to be able to see that. So it's good. Federation, Premier Hockey Federation.
Yeah, Caitlin corrected herself.
Right.
Yeah,
So
Federation.
exciting times. I'm looking forward to it. I actually, again, Barstool will actually handle this correctly. All right.
Yeah.
It gives them the platform. And again, look, take this a little bit deeper. Like, it's so hard to talk about this. Like, I'm not the biggest person on being woke. All right. We need to have conversations again. In order to think, you need to risk being offended. It's a very popular quote. Okay. And when you just call people out and say you're racist and you're dumb, it doesn't accomplish anything. You have to try and have the conversation. With that said, there are people you cannot have a conversation with. And I get that. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Okay. This could have been handled totally different from all parties. Okay. But this is legit. You have woken up a sleeping giant. All right. And the game will win. Because when leagues compete, the game wins, the consumer wins. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. But Ray, we and I have talked about this before. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have thoughts, but I just thought this was handled so poorly on the NWHL's fault. Excuse me. And I think that it's a lesson. It's a lesson. You got to be willing to have a conversation. Thank you. That's my Lee. That's my Lee. I'm Lee. That's my TED Talk.
There you go. Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. It's true. And I think again, like you said, this is going to be a good thing. You're going to get more eyes on hockey. That's always a good thing for the game. Also, don't mess with El Presidente and his pizza reviews. Those
awesome.
are pretty fun. Those are fun. Those are a lot
all right,
of fun.
Frankie. Yeah. Look, you want a bold prediction? This hockey tournament may outdo the NHL when it's on. Ratings wise.
It might.
All right. I bet you it will. Then they bring the betting into it. I'm telling you.
That's true. That is true.
I don't think it's going to do better than the Cup final, but I bet you it does better than the NHL the week it's on.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting for sure. So we move from the PHF now to one thing they're definitely not going to beat in ratings is football. We move on to the NFL.
They will. I can confirm that they will not be beating football in the ratings. Though it depends on the game. I mean, who's playing?
That is true. We had some real interesting. Games this week. First off, the Panthers didn't see this coming. The Panthers are 3-0. They lost Christian McCaffrey for a couple of months to injury, but it's going to be curious to see if they can overcome that and are the Panthers for real, as they are 3-0 and currently in first place of the NFC South. I don't think that's going to last, but good for Sam Darnold and his new start down there in Carolina. As clearly he's proving that he was not the problem in New York, as the Jets were shut out and looked terrible against the Denver Broncos, 26-0. Panthers won 24-9. We got a lot of really good games this week. The Cardinals, despite the referees doing their best job to screw the Cardinals. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a punt to the Cardinals, and the referee threw a flag, because there's always a flag on every punt now in the NFL. And I guess the flag hit the ball, and it caused the receiver to muff the punt. The Jags would score points off that. The Jags also had a 108-yard return on a missed field goal. We've seen that a few times in NFL history. It's been a while, though. And despite all that, the Jags still lost by 12. The Cardinals versus the Rams next week, both surprising 3-0 teams. We'll see who gets early supremacy in NFC West. We got some real good, interesting football games there. The Oakland Raiders are 3-0 as they beat the Dolphins on a last-second field goal in overtime. Rams mentioned them. They beat the Bucks. Everybody's like, oh, the Rams are the team to beat. The Bucks are on cruise control, folks. In my honest opinion, Lee, I don't know if you have any thoughts on any of these early games. My thoughts, Bucks are on cruise control, though. Any thoughts there before I get into the rest of the schedule?
Look, we said the Bucks are not going to win every game this year. The Rams are a good team. I don't know why that's such a shock.
And it was in LA, by the way.
Yeah, they're not going to win every game. That's two potential Super Bowl teams right there. So I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, look, I didn't think the football team would beat the Bills, but they got their butts completely kicked.
The Bills destroyed them.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was another surprise game. I mean, if you want to talk about the Eagles in a minute, I can too. I mean, Packers finally won. Look. Yeah,
close one. The last 30 seconds, they marched down the field and kicked the last second field goal there. You feel bad for Garoppolo, who's having a good, solid year. But But the Niners dropped to 2-1. Packers improved to 2-1. That could be a tiebreaker kind of thing come playoff time.
Right. The other thing I'll say too before we get to the Giants is the Cowboys manhandled the Eagles. And look, again, a lot of Eagles fans losing their minds because there's been beat Dallas all week here. Look, Dallas is exactly who we thought they were on paper. They're the best team in the division, right? There was a lot of questions about what they could, and the questions are answered. They are a good football team. They will be the division leaders of the NFC East. Now, with that said, between the
barring
Eagles,
injuries,
between the Eagles, Giants, and football team, I can't tell you who's going to be in second. But look, it was an interesting game last night. I didn't watch the whole thing, but the Cowboys just a better team. Like, it's just that simple. I'm not going to throw any salt on the fire here. The Eagles to me look like the best team after the Cowboys. And I'm not trying to be biased about that. Just from the performances I've seen, the Eagles are only going to get better. That's pretty obvious. The Giants, I'll let you get to them.
I'm going to get into it in a minute.
The football team seems pretty treading water to me. All right. So, Washington.
The football team's the defense might carry them to a few wins.
But the Eagles are going to get better and better. Like, you got to get Jalen Hurts as a rookie, man. I mean, you got to give him some time. He's going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
So I just think,
and he was very composed. He was very composed in the post-game press conference. And it was, although he had a very fun quote where he's like, "Hey man, it's like when you drop a deuce, you just flush it. This was a deuce, and we're going to flush it." Like, that's it.
Look, the Eagles made some pretty explosive plays in this game. It's just, there was just a lot of mistakes. So we'll see what happens. Like week 3, for me, week 3 is not the week to panic, but if you were playing the Falcons, it is.
We're going to get into, I want to get into that in a second. There's a couple other games. Vikings beat the Seahawks. Vikings get back on track. Seahawks might be in the bottom of that division if they're not careful. Again, the NFC West is stacked. The Bengals upset the Steelers by 2 touchdowns. That was huge. Cincinnati, if they protect Joe Burrow, watch out. The Bengals might be better than people are giving them credit for. And as long as Big Ben continues to play hurt, the Steelers offense might not click like you think. The Saints bounced back, destroyed the Patriots. Oh, and then 2 other things. The Chargers, again, the Chiefs. If the Chiefs get the turnovers under control, people are panicking in Kansas City because they're 1-2. They lost to the Ravens because of a bad turnover. They lost to the Chargers because of 4 bad turnovers. You get the turnovers under control. The Chiefs are 3-0. I think Andy Reid will right the ship. Also, well wishes to him. He went to the hospital right after the game.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. They said he's okay.
Yeah. So the Browns destroyed the Bears. No surprise that the Titans beat the Colts. They're back on track after a week 1 letdown. And, and then, of course, the Lions, the most heartbreaking way to lose. Justin Tucker hits a record 66-yard field goal that hit the crossbar and doinked in.
That's awesome.
To win after a 4th and 19 conversion there by Lamar Jackson. But you don't think, they're going to kick a field goal from midfield. And that's what Justin Tucker did. And Lions, again, finding new ways to lose, very similar to my New York Giants, who also lost by a field goal. The season is over. We're 0-3. There's no reason for me to watch Giants football the rest of the year. The defense played listlessly, even though they did hold them to 17 points. The offense, people were like, Daniel Jones played okay. Daniel Jones is garbage. The Giants failed to convert once again in the red zone. They settled for field goals instead of touchdowns. They got 2 field goals. By the way, it's 14 because they did get a 2-point conversion later on. The Giants also, they're Sterling Shepard, one of their best receivers, and the heart of their defense, Blake Martinez, the middle linebacker, he's out for the year. He tore his ACL. So not only did the Giants lose, they lost 2 of their best players. The season's over. Pack it up, folks. Saquon Barkley finished the day, I think, with 50 yards rushing. Behind this offensive line, there is no reason to watch football. I'm thrilled. I'm going to get to sleep in again on Sundays. There's no reason for me to watch any of these games. I absolutely hope that somebody cuts Gettleman and Daniel Jones's break lines. I don't mean that, sort of, wink, wink. But seriously, I said it last week that if they lost this game, it was time to blow it up from top to bottom. They lost this week. I don't see the Giants having a winnable. The Giants, I'm being completely serious, might lose every game this year.
No.
And the Jets you might see between the Giants and Jets 0-34. And I'm a coin flip for the number 1 overall pick. I am being completely 100% serious. These 2 teams are disgusting. They look horrendous, and they both made the same mistake of not building an offensive line around their young quarterbacks. What a concept! Are you kidding me? It's the most basic thing. And by the way, Rashawn Slater, who the Giants could have took at 11 and before trading down, doing fantastic in San Diego. Again, the Chargers are 2-1, or almost 3-0. Yeah, just saying, what a concept. A young quarterback that now has an offensive line. It's just real. I just don't understand. And especially Gettleman, when he came in, was like, well, we're going to get the hog mollies. We're going to get some big fat guys and put them on the line. We're going to rebuild up this offensive line. The Giants have done nothing to rebuild this offensive line. It is a joke. It is disgusting. Daniel Jones, by the way, and again, I'll say this again, even with a good offensive line, Daniel Jones is not the solution. He's Dave Brown 2.0. He's not a good quarterback. We've seen him now for 2.5 years. He is not a good quarterback. He might be a decent backup in a pinch, in an emergency, or as a gimmick quarterback, right? He can run better than he can throw, folks. He's Tim Tebow, but at least Tebow won. Tebow was able to lead the Broncos to the playoffs and get a playoff win. Daniel Jones is a loser. Everybody who's drafted out of Duke is a loser. And Daniel Jones should be cut. Bring in Glennon. I want to see Mike Glennon next week. I want to see what the backups can do. Because at this point, the experiment is over. He's done. He's a bum. Get him out of New Jersey. Get him off of the East Coast. Send him to Timbuktu. Get him off of this continent. I am done with Daniel Dumpster Fire Jones. He's a bum. He's a loser. He's a piece of garbage. Get rid of him now, and then get rid of Gettleman and Joe Judge and everybody else. Get rid of Get rid of Garrett, the clapper. There on the sideline with his horrendous play calling that was old in 1999. Jason Garrett doesn't know what he's doing. Neither does Joe Judge or Gettleman or any of them. I'm done. I'm not watching a single snap of the Giants the rest of the year. I promise you. I'll get the highlights. I should say, I'll watch the highlights. I'm not watching a single game live. I got better things to do with my time. This team makes me sick. Makes me sick. Literally makes me sick. My stomach is churning right now. If Gettleman was here in front of me, I'd punch him in the face. I swear to Christ. I don't care. Arrest me. I'd be doing all Giants Nation a favor.
So Ray,
not my loudest, right?
Is that another blue team in New York has your heart now?
I mean, let's go Rangers. Let's go Rangers. Let's go Knicks. The Yankees. I mean, we're gonna get into it in a second. We're gonna get into baseball.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about baseball with you. But look, here's the deal. I actually agree with you. Usually, I'll be a little more optimistic. That's a crushing blow. I don't think you guys are gonna lose every game. I actually think you'll bounce back and have some good games here. But yeah, look, that team is just. I mean, look, it didn't work. The experiment didn't work. You got to break that apart while you can. And, you might still be able to get something for Jones right now. Maybe. Like, you know what I mean? But like,
you gave him 3 years. What else can you do?
It's really just ludicrous management. Especially for a team like the New York Giants. Even when you guys were not amazing, you weren't like this. You know what I mean? It wasn't this bad. So I think you're smart not to
even
watch
in our worst. This is 1970s Giants bad. And for those of you who know your football, and you know that the 1970s was a very dark period for the Giants as an organization. This isn't mid 90s bad. This is worse than the Dave Brown years. This is worse because at least that team was just really a quarterback away. I mean, even Danny freaking Cannell took that Giants team to a playoffs in 97. Like, at least they were watchable. This team is unwatchable. Well, look, it's Pee-wee football.
Here's the deal. The Eagles have a future. You can see the future growing. There's progress. The Washington has a future. The Cowboys are there. I don't see a future for this Giants team. They're treading water. They're sinking. Yeah, it's like, like I said to Ray off the show the other day, he texted me after the loss, and I said, man, I kind of feel for you. Like, look, I don't like the Giants as an Eagles fan, obviously, but I do like hating the Giants when they're good. I do like when our teams are battling each other. This is stupid. And it's one of these things of like, let's say you play the Eagles and you beat the Eagles. Then it's just like, but what is it that, the opposite of the rising tides lifts all ships. It's like, no, the Giants should lose a lot of games this year. All right. They shouldn't be beating good teams. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. Like at the same time, I got Philadelphia ready to bury the Eagles as well. It's like, guys, calm down. Like, I don't know where this like, we got to win the Super Bowl every year mentality happens. I mean, New Yorkers get it, but like, it's just ridiculous. Like, take it a game at a time. Even the Bucs didn't win this week. Okay. Calm down. We lost to a very good team.
Well, and especially with Philadelphia, you have a plan in place.
Yes.
And you have a lot of draft picks next year.
They are young and the team is young. Like I'm enjoying watching them learn. They have some explosive plays. You can tell there's something there. The Giants, there's nothing there. All right. And I just, look, guys, I've said this before. I lived outside New York and New Jersey. I've worked in Manhattan for many years. I don't claim to be a New York sports fan, but I do understand the onus on being a New York club. And the Giants are way below the bar right now. Jets fans and Mets fans, I'm sorry you don't qualify, but the Giants are just way below the bar right now that you expect for sports teams from that city. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. The Giants also have a lot of draft picks next year.
Yeah.
Gettleman can't be the one making the calls.
No.
It's that simple.
No.
He needs to be gone. The Giants traditionally wait for the end of the season, so that's fine. But Gettleman needs to be gone. Garrett needs to be gone. I'm sorry, Joe.
0-4,
Judge, you're probably not the guy.
If they go 0-4, he will be. They're not going to do it yet. Maybe 0-5.
Yeah, well,
I
mean, well, they play Dallas week 5. Oh, and we play New Orleans next week, so we're going to be 0-5.
Yeah,
at least.
Maybe. I'm interested to see how you do against New Orleans. I really am. I expect a better game next week, but that's.
I think the
rough.
Saints are going to kill us because it's in New Orleans.
Right, it's rough.
So yeah, it's going to be rough. It's unwatchable this year, folks. What else will be watchable? Real quick before we get into baseball, this was an interesting story. The NFL officially changing their playoff schedule. For those of you who know, of course, Wild Card Weekend is now 6 games because of the expanded playoff format that started last year. So what football is doing now is 2 instead of 3 and 3 like they did last year. 2 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. And then a Monday night primetime game. So we will for the first time ever, I believe, have Monday Night Football for the first week of the playoffs, which will be very interesting. I think as football continues to try to have as much football on as many nights.
It's a good solution. It's a good solution. Yeah. I mean, like I don't have a problem with that. Thank God it's not Thursday night.
Yes, no, that would be the but I think it's
nothing wrong. I have they expanded the playoffs. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so that you expect check your local cable listings. I don't know who's going to be carrying, if those are all going to be on Fox or CBS or NBC or if ESPN's going to get them Monday night games. They do Monday Night Football traditionally. I'm not sure about that, but that is an interesting change to the schedule. But more football is usually a good thing. It also means Saturday night. I'll have my Saturday nights back during the playoffs. So huzzah! But moving on. Speaking of playoffs, we are a week away from the baseball playoffs getting underway.
And who's right there, Ray? Who's right there in the picture as predicted by yours truly? Who's sitting there in a wild card spot? Probably not going to do much, but who's sitting there, Ray? Who is sitting right there? Who is it?
After a unlikely sweep of the Red Sox this weekend, led by the unlikely hero Giancarlo Stanton with 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. I think literally the first time that's happened in Fenway since the Ruth days. The Yankees are now back as the top wild card spot. And not only the top wild card spot, but as we are recording this, the Red Sox just lost again to Baltimore. And the Yankees, knock on wood, are on the verge of beating the Blue Jays. So the Yankees with 5 games left would be 2 up for the number 1 wild card spot, which would mean they would host the Red Sox at this point at Yankee Stadium.
Bastards just couldn't lose. You just couldn't do it. And I knew it. That's why when you were down on them, I said, no, you got to wait till the end of the season because I know what's going to happen. You're going to do some magical BS New York Yankees run, which is exactly what they did to float into the playoffs, which they're absolutely going to do. Bring down the curtain. Lee called this one. No crow for me. just Yankee pain as I sit here.
I still will say, as 31B, welcome to the chat, who's I know a big Red Sox fan. We will probably, I do believe if it's Red Sox visiting the Yankees in the wild card game, I think the Yankees win that 1-game playoff, and then we probably lose to the Rays in the first round of the playoffs.
Ray, let me tell you the difference between a New York fan and a Philadelphia fan. And we can even equate it to baseball. Let me tell you all the difference between a Yankees fan and a Phillies fan this time of year. You got 2 games up on the wild card with 5 games left. You're like, yeah, well, Red Sox, Yankee Stadium, we might win that. Phillies fans are like, we ain't going to win that. We're going to blow that 2-game lead. We're going to lose to we're going to lose to the Nationals. And they're going to take over. And then Atlanta's going to make it. You believe now because you've been taught to believe. I'd still be worried. Look, I'll remind you, sir, that when the Eagles were winning the Super Bowl on the last drive, I was sitting there like, this is not over yet. I remember in 2008, I remember in 2008 sitting, watching the Phillies, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, 2 strikes. We're winning by 1 run. I remember thinking for the first time in that moment, bottom 9, 2 outs, 2 strikes, for the first time thinking, oh my God, we might actually win this thing. That was the first time I thought that. I swear to all of you, I never thought like, oh, we're going to win the World Series until that moment. Okay. That's the difference between a Yankees fan and a Philadelphia fan. But hey, man, I think they're going to do it. They found a way. I will remind you too, Ray, that your division is so competitive that your record anywhere in the NL is first place. I mean, it's just, like that team is not bad. They're just
the Yankees would be coasting to a playoff spot in the National League, whereas
I think fans have been a little
the American League is very top heavy.
I think fans have been a little bit unfair with that this year. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I understand that I talked about it a minute ago. I understand the tradition of excellence in New York, but I think fans have been a little too harsh on this team. Too harsh. I'm not saying you shouldn't have been harsh. Okay, but it was too much. And here they are. Here you're winning 7-2, top of the 9th. New York Yankees go to playoffs.
They've been a very streaky team, right? They've been, and that's the thing. They win 13 in a row, and then they go 2-11. And then they win 5 in a row, and then they go 1-4.
Is it consistent now for you, Ray? Is that tough to be inconsistent?
We're about to win 7 in a row. This will be number 7 if we keep the Rays, the Jays back for the bottom of the 9th. It'll be 7 in a row. And like you said, and with the Orioles beating the Red Sox, which I told people, I've actually said, and 31B says he's very excited. Right now, I know at least on the Yankee side, 31B, Cole is lined up to be the starter for the wild card game. He would be on regular rest. He would be the guy. I don't know about the Red Sox, but the Orioles have had the Red Sox number this year at least several times. So even though much like the Yankees and the Red Sox, they blew it tonight. And they were up 2-0, and then Sale took a bad loss. 31B. Sale pitched today. He's probably set up for you guys too, but that's a bad loss for Chris Sale against the Orioles. They give up 3 runs in the 6th, and then the Orioles hold on 4-2. And then
what kills me, Ray? Can I tell you what kills me?
Yeah,
I'm looking at the stands. This is something about baseball. Another thing it kills me, right? Tampa Bay, Houston White Sox, right? 97, 91, 89 wins consecutive. Then you get to the wild card, 89, 88. Yeah. That makes sense. Those are the next 2 best teams. You move over to the NL, San Francisco with an incredible and unlikely 102-win season, followed by Milwaukee with 94, followed by Atlanta with 84, then followed by the Dodgers with 100, and St. Louis with 87, both better than Atlanta. Kills me to see that. By the way, not the only sports league where that happens. And the Philadelphia Phillies' only chance of getting in from looking at this is to beat Atlanta, which they're not going to do. So it's just.
Well, that's the thing. The Phillies needed to sweep the Braves, and unfortunately, the Braves beat the Phillies tonight 2-1.
Yep.
And this was a very important 3-game set. The Braves got a bases-loaded single in the 3rd. The Phillies did try to mount a comeback in the 9th. But Didi Gregorius had a sac fly. They had the tying run at 3rd, but they could not get the tying run across.
I didn't watch. Let me tell you something, Ray. Let me tell you the difference. I'll fundamentally do it. The New York sports lifts you up. It grabs you and lifts you up as you bask in your glory. Philadelphia sports also lift. They lift into your rear end, up to your heart. They grab it and pull it out every freaking year. Okay, that's Philadelphia sports in a nutshell. I'm Lee Elias. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it is interesting for sure. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry your Phillies are gonna. It looks like
now that the Yankees are in, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not official. It's again the Yankees. Here's the thing: if the Yankees sweep Toronto, then it's locked up for sure.
You guys are gonna be in the wild card no matter what.
I mean, knock on wood. I mean, it does very much help that the Red Sox.
I'm not going to knock on wood. I'm not going to.
Well, I am. It helps me.
You look at the little Yankee fan there. He's a little happier than he usually is. All right, I called it. I'm taking credit. There's video proof on TikTok. I was very down on this team during our losing streaks. Again, it is a very inconsistent Yankee team for sure. And Randall talking about his Rays. Done. Season's done.
Yeah,
here's me. Ray, they're gonna do the Yankee thing and have a last-minute miracle call. They are done. I'm taking this one. I'm taking this one to the bank. Look, I made him laugh. I'm taking this one to the Philadelphia bank where I'll probably be robbed and shot.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. The Mets, by the way, continue to lose. They won today, but they will finish officially under 500. Another losing season for the Mets.
Let's see. JJ in chat says, Lee, it was supposed to be one of us, meaning the Mets and the Phillies. Where did the Braves come from? What do you mean?
The Braves were the better team from the beginning. They had better pitching. They had better hitting even with Acuna hurt. Like this
always there.
The Braves, only reason why the Mets and Phillies were allowed to hang around was because the Braves had bullpen blew so many games early in the year. The Braves didn't come out of nowhere. Come on.
The Braves are almost always there in some form.
Yeah.
The Braves have won our division by the way more than anybody.
The Rays and Astros tied at 2. If the Rays win this, they'll set a new franchise record for most wins in a year. And I need to give credit to Randall. It's the first time in their history they've won back-to-back division titles. Rays, again, one of the teams with one of the smaller budgets in baseball, kind of doing what Houston did a few years ago and smartly draft well, develop your prospects, and make smart trades, right? They got Nelson Cruz, which is a huge deal. Wander Franco has delivered, not as much as I think people have thought he would, but making the trade for Willie Adames to get relief, I think, for the bullpen. They signing David Robertson, former Yankee, off the Olympic squad, seeing how well he pitched in the Olympics. He's done great for them in September. That's how a small market team needs to win nowadays. And again, Tampa, that actually brings us into our next story, is Tampa Bay might be not in Tampa Bay much longer, at least for half the year, as it looks like they are on the verge of striking a deal for splitting their games now in future years between Montreal and Tampa Bay, which honestly, I'm not going to say it's going to hurt them, but I think it's going to hurt them because that's basically having two home markets. It just doesn't make sense. And I get, look, and no offense to Randall or Tampa Bay, the Tropicana Field is the worst stadium in baseball. There's no doubt about it. You don't have a home field advantage down in Tampa Bay. Your stadium only holds 25,000 people. It's a minor league ballpark at best. It's the worst domed stadium in the history of the world, because of those stupid catwalks. Honestly, it'd be good if Tampa Bay moved to Montreal, I think, permanently. I think this split thing is only going to hurt them in the long run. Lee, what are your thoughts on baseball contemplating possibly having a team split their home games between two, not even close cities? They're two very different cities on the East Coast.
Have the guts to make a decision?
Yeah.
All right. Look, the team's winning right now, so it makes it even harder. If they're losing, you can justify it as, they're trying out a new market. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's Ray. I'm just gonna sum this up. I don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you what. It's just another bonehead move by baseball. It's a very baseball-esque MLB move. Just not understanding how this works at all. All right. Why would you go to the games if you think the team's gonna leave?
Yeah.
Make a decision. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Can you imagine if any of you listening, if your home team just decided they were gonna play half their games in a different location? You're going to support them down the beaten path at that point? You're just going to support them blindly? All right. Let me tell you this. There's not many St. Louis Rams fans left watching the LA Rams.
Yeah.
You've moved on.
Yep.
Stupid.
Moving on to the XFL.
There's not many Quebec Nordiques fans that still follow the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and Randall talking about the city failing them. Yeah. I mean, look, Tampa needs a new stadium. They need a stadium in a better location. They've needed that for years. We've known that. Everybody who watches baseball has known that. And instead, their solution is, screw Tampa. We're going to move them back to Montreal. We're going to move them to Montreal, I should say. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. I really feel for the folks at Tampa Bay who are fans of Tampa Bay. I really do. It'd be terrible. It's a terrible idea. I think that baseball, again, is dropping the ball on this. Help Tampa Bay get a new stadium in a new location. And how about the city of Tampa Bay get their heads out of their butts and build them a new stadium?
Yeah.
If you really want them to stay, you gotta build a new stadium. And JJ Nelson didn't get the Nationals out of DC. JJ, you don't know what you're talking about as usual. The DC fans have been great, actually, to Washington since they moved down from Montreal. Again, Washington, a traditional baseball town with the Senators. But yeah, anyway. And Randall, again, talking about how bad the location is. Kind of like what happened with the Coyotes in the NHL. A lot of folks just hated where they were playing. They hate the location. It's tough for a lot of folks. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Yeah, so that does it for sports. Baseball's dumb again. What else is new?
Again?
Except for the Yankees. The Yankees are going to make the playoffs.
That's the most genuine smile I've seen from Ray in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the most genuine thing.
You don't know what it's almost like a relief in a weird way. I mean, yeah, the Yankees are on the verge of winning their 90th game of the year.
Listen,
which is fair.
Either way I win. If they make the playoffs, I was right. If they don't, the reigning hellfire that you'll be next week will be totally worth it.
That's also true. You want to see a Ray rant? If the Yankees fail to make the playoffs now,
you bastard! You told me they were gonna win. And guess what, Lee? They didn't win. They didn't win.
Oh, goodness. And JJ, again, just trying to take cheap shots. JJ, there's nothing you can say to bring down this high, and you're done. You're done. I'm done. Moving on now to our mashup of the week. Here we go. This should be fun. What sports season would you want to bring back? We talked about earlier in the show, Nintendo bringing back N64 games and Sega Genesis games. So what sports season would you like to bring back to relive one time? Much like Lee's going to relive Ocarina of Time with his kids. I'll relive Star Fox 64. What do you... what season, Lee? I'll start with you because I already know off the top of my head this was an easy one for me. What season would you want to relive?
Ray, let's build this up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What sport do you think I'm gonna pick?
Hockey?
No, I'm not gonna pick that.
Baseball?
Yeah, you're gonna come to this on your own. There was
your 08 Phillies?
No, that was a fun.
Oh, are you going to pick your 98 because of the home run race?
Yeah, I am. The last days of innocence before the steroid era went into full effect, where I actually was incredibly into baseball. It was a great season overall. Yeah, Cubs, Cardinals, Yankees, everything was fun that season. I loved baseball. I couldn't stop watching it. The last time. For the whole season, not just the Phillies. I could say that because the Phillies weren't incredibly great that year. They weren't really horrible, but I'll say this, that's the season I'd want to relive just to remember what it felt like. This is how heartbroken I am over baseball. When you guys hear me talk about it, I always talk about how upset I am. And this is why I'd want to relive that season, right? There are some hockey seasons I could probably say, like if you put a gun to my head, I'd probably say, 2000 was a really fun season in hockey. And, there's some other ones like actually, it was a good one, Ray, the 2006 year, Tom Rennie's first year with the team. That was really fun right after the lockout. Yeah. That was a great time. Yeah. No, I think if I'm looking at all of sports, all of it, the 98 baseball MLB season's the way to go. And look, here's the deal too. We talked about this before the episode. It's not about one team when we do this, right? It's not reliving your team. It's the whole season. more happened in that 98 year in baseball than probably most other years around the sport. Like people, oh, I want to go to the 97 Chicago Bulls. Well, that was a great year for the Bulls, but everybody knew who was going to be there at the end. That's not a great year in basketball. I mean, it is, but don't get me wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
The 98 MLB season was, man, it was like the majesty and the what's it called? The romanticism surrounding baseball. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So, I hope I surprised you with that.
Yeah, I am. Randall mentions in chat that last year with Jordan against the Jazz and whatnot, the 97 finals too, that for basketball, which is a good one. But I definitely, funny enough, I actually have that's the exact same pick for me, is the 98 baseball season. For me, yeah, like that was one of the happiest, that was like one of the best times of my life. That was one of the best times ever. And again, the Yankees set a record at the time, 114
we were young.
wins. Like, it was, like it was
7th, 8th grade around that time.
I was 13 years old. Yeah. Things were great in 1998. And again, like you said, baseball was at its peak.
It really was. And the peak ended shortly after that.
It did. It did with the steroid scandals.
To Randall and Chad talking about the Jazz in the finals of the Bulls. That was 97 and 98. So it's your take on that one. But Ray, that was the most magical season of sports I've ever witnessed. And again, like there are hockey years I could pick, but I'm a hockey guy. Like
for sure.
98 MLB seasons, the most magical year in baseball history. The Yankees kind of proven that they're not a fluke, right? Like they're really coming into the Yankees. They would be like these championship all time, Yankees. And the Cardinals and the Cubs. And there was a lot of other stories that year too that we don't talk about. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. was there too. For a long time.
Yeah, for a long time until the All-Star break. Right. Really, he was right there in that race as well. And he well, the year prior, Tino Martinez was 97, made a run, but like it was like that was a really interesting. That was just a great year, and baseball just dominated sports. I would watch Sports Center again and again and again and again just to see the highlights, not just of the Yankees, but of everybody, every team.
I don't remember another season where this is very pre-internet. But I do not remember pre-streaming internet. I do not remember another time period in my life where channels would turn to the Cardinals game when Mark McGwire would come up to bat.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like they would switch to Mark, and everyone would stop and watch to see if this guy was going to do it. I don't think I've ever seen that again in sport. I can't think of a time I've ever seen that again. Again, football's not built that way. Like everybody was watching Tom Brady win the Super Bowl, but football's not built that way. Hockey is if it's a Wayne Gretzky breaking, like when Ovechkin gets close to breaking the goal record, it'll happen there again, I think. In fact,
those games will start to be nationally televised.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, if they're not, that is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. If they don't follow.
No, I agree.
That's not a small record in sport. That's one of the top 5 all-time records in sport.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean goals in the NHL. I mean, come on. And then when it comes to basketball, I mean, even all-time point scorer in that league is not as big for some reason, right? It's all about the rings. So that was the most magical season of my lifetime. I'm sure that the Yankees of the 60s had some of that, to be fair, but
for sure. Yeah, but it's not, but it's before us for sure. I mean, like you said, you mentioned those Ranger teams in the late 2000s, that 07, that team that made a run in 07 that swept the Thrashers in the first round and pushed Buffalo to the brink, even though, those old disgusting Twinkie uniforms, even though Buffalo was the 1 seed that year. Buffalo obviously won the series, but it was still, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. The banana slugs. Yeah. I mean, and again, the Giants have had great years, of course, obviously. Same thing, 07 when they made that unprecedented run against, I'll say that playoffs I'd love to live through again, right? With the Giants, but the one they led the Super Bowl 42 and they beat the undefeated Patriots.
Yeah, look, that was
right,
that
but
was
like not the whole season.
No, the season was up and down. And look, again, when you think of football, I mean, you got to go back to probably the early 90s when you're looking at like a whole season where everything was amazing. Like, again, look, some of that majesty comes from us being kids. But like, I don't remember a season in the NFL recently where like just every division was firing and it was just every game was amazing. And, and like, honestly, with the way the Browns were the last few years prior to the last couple of years, I mean, there hasn't been a year in a long time that I remember that. I remember a team going 0-18 was, or 0-16 was like unheard of. It couldn't happen.
And then we've seen it, and now we've seen it a few times the past decade.
So there's no way
the Lions, the Browns,
look, maybe back when the 49ers, the Cowboys, God hate me for saying that, but the early 90s football, there's some majesty there. All right. But that 98 baseball season was something special in my heart. And honestly, all of my heartbreak leads back to that moment. So if baseball can ever capture that again, to that, and I hate to say this, Ray, and I know there's a lot of young kids who love baseball out there, and I'm not against that. I just have a hard time believing that they have any understanding of what that was like and how unbelievable that was. You know what I mean? I just don't think they do. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. 98 MLB season, a majestic, beautiful time period in sport.
Yeah, for sure. Warfare, going back to our last topic, real quick, mentions in chat, he hopes that Tampa Bay permanently goes to Montreal, that they also go to the National League. That is not going to happen unless baseball expands, which it should, but it probably ain't going to. So on that note, that was our last comment of the show. I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening, everybody tuned in, who joined us in chat. As always, much appreciated. Again, and we want to know what you guys think, obviously, on this subject. What would be the season that you would relive? It's pretty obvious. By the way, Yankees officially to a final 7-2. If we want to know what you guys think, obviously comment below. You can email us, obviously, Ray or Lee at geekswholikesports.com. And I think I think that's the show. I appreciate it. We got some more folks jumping in on chat. We will get to you in the post show. Yeah. For those of you who listened, of course, here with us live, or of course listening to us after the fact, we appreciate and love all of you. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back next week with more Geeks Who Like Sports. But until then, for Lee, I am Ray. Have a great night, everybody.